myself into?
Well, you asked. I'm trying to be honest.
I asked you that question
Yes.
because I wanted to ask you about one specific
Okay.
time.
All right.
And this might actually go into a second specific time too. But
Okay.
you remember when I was playing hockey?
Yes. Oh boy, do I remember that.
Okay.
Yes.
Walk me through that night from your perspective.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like you drove up in the middle of the yard, and it's like you just stopped there, and we're rushing out to the car, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
It's not what happened.
You were there at the house.
Yes, I did pull up in the front yard. I started flashing the lights, and no one
Yes.
came. So then I started beeping the horn.
Yes, that's true. I didn't
Okay.
know you were there. So like I said, when you arrived, and it's just like, okay, so we had to, at that time, I guess you'd say my ex-husband and I helped you into the car, and we took you to the hospital. Yes, we did.
No, we called the ambulance.
Yes, but that wasn't until after.
I
Because-
went to the hospital with the ambulance.
Yes, that wasn't until after we tried to get you out of the car.
Yeah, that wasn't happening.
And that wasn't happening. So yeah, we called the ambulance and they took you to the hospital.
I'm actually just more impressed that I was able to actually drive home.
Yeah,
as
it's just like
injured
it was
as I
unbelievable. I mean, seriously, totally unbelievable.
I mean, nobody here knows Was it like? Did you break your back or? Nobody?
Yeah, it was a back injury. What had happened was it was playing a pickup ice hockey game, and I had gotten, in my opinion, cheap shotted. Like I was looking another way, and someone turned me around, with a check, and I went my back straight over to the top crossbar of the goal.
Yes.
Yeah, and this was probably right before my senior year of high school, I would say.
I thought it was like the end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year.
Yeah, okay. It might have been that. But either way, this is when the doctors had me on all of them, like, strong narcotics
Yeah.
for like a year and a half. That we have talked about before. We was hanging out at that point in time and everything.
Right.
So, needless to say, I was a mess.
Well, they also told you about surgery too.
Yeah.
And you declined that.
I don't know. Because their percentages were
Correct.
were not good.
Correct.
I'll just say that.
So what, they were going to repair something and
Yeah, like in my spine.
okay, and they said that the percentage was that you might lose all your
Well,
motion or something.
yeah, I think there was it was something relatively high. Don't quote me on this because it's been so long, but I believe it was like a 35% chance. Like a 1 in 3 chance that I'd be paralyzed.
Yeah. Well,
It was
yes.
something like that.
Correct.
So I was like,
And you said no way.
nope.
Is it fully healed now, or
Yeah.
did it heal right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm fairly active. Our
Right.
job is very physical. So I would venture to say I bounced back. Anyway. Okay, well, let me ask you this one.
Okay.
What was the one time that you would say that you were the most concerned when I actually went to the hospital?
Probably that time. Most
That time?
definitely, yes, because that was a matter of if you went through the surgery of walking again, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was probably the worst time.
Okay.
I would say, yes, most definitely.
Yeah. I just specifically remember that one because, like I said, as you have, verified, I drove the car right up to the front of the old house over there in Glenville.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like how you did
It just
I have no idea.
started beeping the horn.
And I don't understand
And I had
why.
driven all the way back from Ice World at this point in time.
And I don't know why you just didn't call.
Because we didn't have cell phones. This was 96.
You could have called from the rink though.
Well,
The ring,
it didn't start bothering me until like halfway home.
Oh.
That was the thing. Yeah, I was probably on like I would say,
Adrenaline?
no, yeah. Well, I was
Well-
I was on 136. You know, probably about halfway back from the
Yeah.
ice rink to the house where we lived at the time.
Right.
And that's when I'm like, oh man, something feels weird. And by the time I got over there on Glenville, you know, especially like right around that curve,
Yeah, it's like you
that
just
super curve,
when you pulled in the driveway.
that's when I was just
you
like,
just-
oh no, something's wrong.
Right.
Something's
it's
very
just like
wrong.
from there, you just drove up. I mean, through the neighbors, you parted in the neighbor's yard and just made it to the beeline to the front door.
Yeah.
And either the car stopped or you turned the ignition off or whatever, but right there in the front, and it's just like, because it was kind of late at night too.
Yeah. I think our pickup session ended at 10:30. By the time we get out of there, get changed and everything, you know, probably leaving the rink about 10:45, 10:50. So yeah, it was probably after 11. But yeah, I was just interested to get your take on that particular incident
Yeah,
because that was
that was the worst. And not long, just like I said, in your junior year, you fractured your leg, fractured the foot.
I should be in a bubble.
We're gonna make
It
you
was
wear.
all
We're gonna
good.
make you wear a helmet all the time.
I don't think I've injured my head though.
Give you an exoskeleton.
I take that. Elon, if you're out there, man, invent that shit. All right. Okay. So moving on, we'll go ahead and we'll move on from that. What's I thought of an interesting question. I just want to hear your take on it. You can be as brief or detailed as you like. But
Okay.
whatever happened to the news?
What do you mean?
As in, okay, now I assume that you were from the generation growing up with like Walter Cronkite and people actually reporting facts. We'll say
Okay.
nowadays it seems like everything is skewed or slanted in the form of an opinionation piece or an editorial versus just telling people what the facts are.
It's like that people want to be in control and they want to sway your opinion to match theirs.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, were you able to pinpoint the point in time where that kind of shifted to what the news is today?
It probably started in the 90s and it definitely took leaps and bounds in the millennium.
I have it's kind of a different question. Do you think that it was always like that, and now that there's competing information sources out there, now that we're actually noticing that it's more propaganda? Do you think it was always that way?
No, I don't.
No? Okay.
No.
Yeah, I mean go ahead.
Like a gradual progression, okay? But like I said, it's just like, okay, well then, who's going to be in control? And who am I going to sway to think like I do?
Right.
Or how you want the media to think.
Well, no, I would venture to say it's the media trying to influence the people how they think.
Oh, yeah, you can put it that way. But it's just like,
I mean, that's at least what I see.
it's like, yeah, okay,
And,
I'll agree with that.
I mean, it works both ways,
Yes,
really.
correct, because somebody has to start out.
It doesn't matter which side you're
Correct.
on or anything. I mean, it just disgusts me that whatever happened to the news. I mean, everything is formulated.
And why is it always so negative instead of, you very seldom see, positive and success. It's always detrimental and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree.
I think when it comes, I mean, this is just me saying it. I think that But I like to say that the time when the Weather Channel gets the most views is when there's a hurricane. And I feel like the media is basically creating their own hurricanes every single day,
Right.
so that people keep watching the screen.
Yeah,
Well, of
I'm
course.
kind of a similar opinion that they think that bad news sells better.
It does.
It does.
And
But-
that's not even
I
a
mean,
question.
anything negative seems like supersedes anything
I know.
positive.
It's what happened. What
Yeah,
happened?
that's-
That's all.
that's-
You can
what
look at like I watched the interview with Jerry Rice, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, and he as many as all the great things that he's done, it's always those mistakes or those negative things that happen
Correct.
to him that he remembers more clearly, because I guess it's just. Everybody, you can do all kinds of great things in your life, but you do one bad thing, and that's what you're remembered for.
That's right. Yeah.
It takes, say, hundreds or 1,000 positive things to override a negative.
Not even, because you know what? Marion Barry is always going to be remembered as that D.C. mayor who smoked crack.
Yeah.
No one's going to
I don't
remember
know.
anything about
Correct.
whether
Yeah.
even he did any
Right,
good
good
in Indigo.
stuff, yeah.
That's all they're going to remember.
I don't
That's
know
it.
if he did anything good in his entire
I don't
life.
either.
All I know is you smoke crack.
Exactly. That's my point.